Fighting games are famous for their glitches. No, seriously, Street Fighter's entire combo system started as a glitch, being able to link attacks together before the opponent could block. Then you have Korean backdashing in Tekken, which fans discovered as a way to retreat faster than developers intended. Then we have Mortal Kombat, which is also stuffed with tons of glitches. In fact, almost every Mortal Kombat game has a major glitch, most of which were used by players to make the game more interesting. For example, block canceling in the 3D era, either for movement or to extend combos from the air. Then you have short hopping in the very first Mortal Kombat game. Yeah, it started right away, because like mentioned earlier, fighting games are famous for their glitches. It's a big part of the genre for whatever reason. So today's video is celebrating all the famous bugs and glitches throughout Mortal Kombat history. But if I miss anything, please let me know in the comments down below, because I love making these videos interactive. And also, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like after watching. It really does help my channel out a ton. Then for anyone new to my channel, I'm trying to reach 500,000 subscribers before 2026. So let's do it together. Did you know over half of my viewers are not subscribed? It's completely free and makes it easier to find my videos in the future. So alright everyone, without any further ado, let's begin. The most famous glitches in Mortal Kombat history. Alright, I want to do these glitches in order, which means we start with the very first Mortal Kombat game, which like mentioned earlier had a very famous glitch that was super useful. I'm talking about short hopping or short jump punching. I'm not sure what the exact terminology is, or if there even is exact terminology, because unlike Japanese fighting games, the American ones tend to not be hyper specific with the verbiage, but I digress. Normally jumps in this game are very floaty. It takes you a while to go up and then come back down before the opponent's within punching range. However, with the proper timing, your character could punch immediately after leaving the ground and also fall to the ground faster as a result, because they didn't go as high. Which meant in the corner especially, you could do much longer combos than developers intended. Now with that said, I don't think Ed Boon and other developers wanted the game to be simple, it just was because it's a product of the time. But thankfully, gamers were quick to discover glitches like the short hop, which helped make Mortal Kombat even more interesting. And to this day, if you watch tournaments for the first Mortal Kombat, you'll see these short hops in action. And for a cool fun fact, Mortal Kombat 1 references this move directly with Janet Cage. Yeah, she has the short hop punch, which is extremely good in this game, very similar to the very first Mortal Kombat. Short jump punches are king. And actually, now that I think about it, Mortal Kombat X kinda had short jumps too with certain characters like Mileena, which I didn't know was possible until watching Losty Girl's videos with Mileena. I didn't know short jump punches were a thing in MKX, but turns out they are. Next up, let's talk about Mortal Kombat 3, when the run button was invented. That's right, finally you could chase down the opponent and make Mortal Kombat even more aggressive with the gameplay. But this glitch is actually about defense, because in Mortal Kombat 3 you could hold block while mashing jab, which actually allowed you to attack and block at the same time. Yup, if the opponent tried to counter, your character would instantly block, which allowed you to punish sweeps and other unsafe attacks of that nature. So like mentioned earlier, you could block while attacking at the same time. Yeah, this glitch was very powerful and also super cheap in my opinion, since your opponent has no clue what's happening. Which means it's time to move on for Deadly Alliance. This game had sidestep canceling. That's right, with the block button once again. That's gonna be a repeating thing in today's video. Lots of glitches were done with the block button. It's an easy exploit for some reason. Keep in mind that most fighting games don't have a block button unless they're 3D, but even then a block button is pretty rare. So in a way it makes sense that the block button has tons of bugs and glitches when you consider most fighting games weren't using it. But yeah, in Deadly Alliance you could block cancel to sidestep and just move quicker than intended by the developers, which on the one hand is neat because more movement is always good, but also it looks kinda goofy. It's not intended and definitely looks that way. Block canceling would return in Armageddon, but this time for combos, because you could cancel the recovery of certain moves, and this allowed you to keep the combo going for much longer than intended, which like every other glitch so far was unintended by the developers and made your character much better, because now suddenly combos went on for a super long time. In fact, I think some characters had infinites, like straight up, which meant not only could you guarantee a win if you didn't drop the combo, but also you could timer scam, which essentially means running down the clock, right? You keep comboing the opponent and every hit does less damage thanks to combo combo scaling, but the opponent is still stuck up there. Meaning, even if you can't kill them, once the clock runs out, you have the life lead and therefore you win. But then we have stance canceling for air combos. Yeah, this trick was less difficult to time, but also very interesting. You input the air throw combo, but then cancel the final hit by pressing stance change, which drops your character to the ground and lets you keep the combo going, either by jumping back up or with the ground combo follow-up. Yeah, Mortal Kombat Armageddon was a very buggy game. So on the one hand, this glitch could be really annoying, but on the other hand, I think it's okay in most regards, and some tournaments did have their own restrictions on this glitch. For example, you could only do it once or twice in the same combo. Anything more would be a disqualification. Very similar to Smash Bros and the wobble combo. I don't want to get too far into that, but my point is tournaments back in the day had their own restrictions to make these glitches more fair. And block canceling air combos in Deception and Armageddon is a great example of this. Next up, we have dash canceling in Mortal Kombat 9, which actually returned in Mortal Kombat 1 because fans wanted it back so badly. Essentially, you could cancel any block by dashing and then just release block immediately to dash again, and this lets you move incrementally however fast or slow you wanted to, which allowed you to approach the opponent without leaving yourself open for too long. Keep in mind, other fighting games don't do this, and that's why it's such a big deal. For example, in Street Fighter, if you dash forward at the opponent, they can react and punish you before you have time to block, because the dash has to actually finish before you can block, which is intentional. The developers want it that way, and if I'm being honest, I do kinda prefer this. However, even so, Mortal Kombat 9 was unique in this regard because you could dash and then block at any point during the dash. You were never technically vulnerable if timed correctly. Then this glitch disappeared in Mortal Kombat X because dashing and blocking led to the run ability. So now it's time for Mortal Kombat 11 because block dashing came back, but in an interesting way. You could no longer block at any point during the dash. Instead, you had to time it properly, but what made things so interesting is that certain characters could move really quickly if you mastered the timing of block dash. For example, Shao Kahn and Kotal Kahn, they're my favorite examples because they're big body characters who are normally slower than everybody else. However, if you mastered block dash canceling, they became the quickest characters in the game. Yeah, I'm not joking, it was night and day different. If you mastered the timing, then Shao Kahn or Kotal Kahn went from the slowest to the fastest characters in Mortal Kombat 11, which is so dang funny. Then you had the opposite though, where some characters had good walk speed and regular dash speed, but block dashing did nothing for them. In fact, in some cases, it made the characters slower, so I find that interesting. Next up, time for an honorable mention, the head glitch in the Krypt for Mortal Kombat 11. Yeah, this glitch was amazing, an absolute godsend because the developers wanted you to get like 50 plus fatalities with every character in the game. And I'm not joking, normally that would be the only way to get the head for the character in a Krypt. I understand now how weird that sounds to anyone who didn't play the game, so please let me explain. In the Krypt there was a line of spikes, and if you wanted to drop a character's head on that spike to get rewards for that character, then you had to do 50 fatalities or something like that. It may have been more with that character, then you got their head and could place it on the spike in the Krypt. And once you did that for every single character, you unlocked Shang Tsung's throne room, which had all the best goodies in it, right? All the cool secret stuff you wanted to unlock in the Krypt was in that throne room. However, thankfully there was a glitch. For whatever reason, if you held the select button, like X on the PlayStation or A on the Xbox, you could walk all the way to the spikes and then drop the head on the spike without having to get all the fatalities. Yeah, it was really nice. No clue why this glitch worked, but it did, and a fantastic exploit it was. Because think about how long it would have taken to do a fatality 50 plus times for every single character. That would be ridiculously time wasting. Not to mention boring, which I think is the even bigger sin here. Who cares how long it takes if the process is fun, but repeating the same thing over and over again, especially when every character only has 2 fatalities, would have gotten old really quickly. So yeah, once again, I'm happy this glitch existed. Next up to end today's video with Mortal Kombat 1, a loophole. Maybe not a glitch, but it was unintended by the developers and a massive oversight. Because Tremor, a cameo character, could be summoned in the middle of a block string to just eat the hit for you. Yeah, and otherwise there would not be a gap there. No false block gap, no armor gap, nothing like that. Which meant you had to block, which was the intention from developers. However, Tremor could be summoned faster than everyone else in the game, which meant he could take the hit for you and you got a guaranteed punish for no reason. Yeah, it was a big deal. skill and made Trimmer the best character in the game on top of everything else he already did well. So combine that with how quickly Trimmer comes back, which is faster than most other cameos, and yeah, he was busted. Keep in mind, the main point of summoning Trimmer was supposed to be changing his stances to metallic or crystal, you get the idea. And then you could have him attack or go away and be ready for the next attack later on. That was why he summoned so quickly, but instead players used him to eat hits and escape strings that would otherwise be inescapable. So yeah, that's a pretty big exploit in my opinion. And there you have it everyone, all the biggest glitches and bugs in Mortal Kombat history that I can think of. Once again, the main goal of today's video were glitches that really changed the gameplay in a big way. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like down below, helps the channel out a ton, and then finish that combo by subscribing so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.